Hi, welcome everybody to Renner Art Gallery. My name is Kenn Morgan, professor of fine arts at Bethany College in my 32nd year. I graduated from here in 1971. A lot of people watching this probably know some of this. Others might not know all of this. Some people might not want to know any of this. But in way of introduction, that's who I am. And when I was a student here, and some people of my age, from the class of 71 and before, remember this probably as the men's dining hall. And that's how, when I came to Bethany, that's how the men ate up here and the women ate in Phillips Hall. And luckily I was here for the transition of Renner Union originating here, which meant that the cafeteria tables left and these ball chairs were uncrated. I was here for that, these other chairs. And Miss Nicholson and some students, I was happy to be one of them, turned this place into the Renner Union. We changed the name since the Union has different ideas really with other aspects about it, and now it's the Renner Art Gallery. It has been for at least 3 or more decades. And I have been the director of this art gallery for couple of decades at least. So I'm sharing tonight the latest show, Black History Matters and Black Art Matters. And I've been doing a show like this for probably 12 or 15 years. So what I'm going to do is I'll point out not every single thing, because some of you can maybe zoom in later and look at details or whatever, but some things that I think might be somewhat interesting, at least I hope that they are. Maybe some of you saw the Homecoming show. This is going to be similar to that. So give me 20 minutes or so to take you through this, and then we'll see how it goes. I'll start at this end. This is one of my former students. I have some students that left work behind for me to use for occasions like this. Jorge LeBoy has this nice painting that he left. He was not an art major. He took a course to just have fun with it, and he did have fun with it, and I'm very proud of his work. On the wall here, this is a poster, and I also have a film here that's available for people to watch. Faith Ringgold is a fantastic African-American artist. Her claim to fame, this is obviously kind of a glossy poster, it might be hard to see. She does story quilts. This is actually a very, very large quilt. It probably has the size of it. 76 by 76 inches. And she tells stories within them. I love the fact that she came up with this idea because if she had done paintings nearly that large, to have a show would be very, very impractical. But with doing the quilt thing, she could roll them up and send them to galleries all over the place. And she's wonderfully successful. This is a leather mask that my daughter brought me back from one of her adventures. Both my daughters have studied for a semester in Africa, one in Ghana, one in Kenya. I'll show you some things they brought back from that. Here we have a poster of the great Malcolm X, obviously one of the fighters that brought a lot of social justice into our consciousness, and a very controversial man, of course. And I am happy that I was living at a time when I was able to get involved with listening to him and thinking about him. I was in high school at the time. Barack Obama is, I'm a huge fan of Barack Obama. You're going to see some of that as we move through this exhibition. Shaun King, controversial speaker perhaps. I like what he has to say. And he came here in 2018, a couple of years ago, for Black History Month, and was a speaker. And this an autographed poster from him. And again, he's really a voice, certainly a younger voice for the movement of Black history and how it matters. Below here we have a Dizzy Gillespie poster that I designed now a long time ago, 1985. Actually, I wasn't at Bethany then. I was the activities director at Wheeling College. I was the Darlene Nicholson at Wheeling College for 4 years, and I had Dizzy Gillespie in concert there. That was part of my job. And this is a signed poster by Dizzy Gillespie. He dedicated it to my wife, Judy. And my favorite memory about this, September 13th, the day after my birthday in 1985, I'd forgotten that part of it. My daughters were quite small then, and Dizzy Gillespie held them in his lap with his trumpet. And if you know how Dizzy Gillespie played that instrument, you would know that he would puff up his cheeks. They were gigantic, they were enormous. And I'll never forget, and I wish I had a picture of it, Kendall Whitney sitting in his lap, and he blew that horn, and his cheeks went up, and what it did to them was just hysterical. Barack Obama t-shirt, some buttons. I was on that trail a long time ago. Here we have some student work. Trinity Dixon in the class of 22. She's still one of our students, luckily. And this assignment from my Painting 1 class is a subjective color portrait. Subjective meaning anything but objective. You know, let me mention that I have, as long as I've been teaching, I've tried to get my students to understand the difference between subjective and objective. To get 100% from that, I haven't succeeded yet. So anyway, any color other than a real color is what we're going for with this assignment. Obviously, these 4 that I'm presenting here, and there's a 5th one down there, understood ultimately, if no, I can't remember the details. And so we have Preston Snowden down here from the class of 19, and Trinity still among us, although I believe I'm correct in that she is studying virtually this semester. And so she's working from home in Maryland. Margaret Mead has a poster here, which I think later, if you want to zoom in and see that, you can take a look at her, the wisdom of Margaret Mead. The top here is one of my creations from 1996. I got a faculty development grant to study printmaking in Florence, Italy, and it was watercolor monotype. I had never done that before, and I learned this technique, which this reflects. What one does is you use watercolors on top of acrylic plates, multiple plates. You can do it with one plate, but multiples make it that much more interesting. The nice thing about it is there's a ghost image left behind it. So this is one of a triptych. This title of this one is Soulmates. There's one that, another one where it was done, I Know You from Someplace, and the third title of the triptych was Surely Angels Must Be Colorblind. This is a photograph of mine that I took in Dominica on a beta trip with John Burns and some biology students. I just, when I met this woman and talked with her a bit to see if she was okay with me taking her picture, she was somewhat reluctant, but I just thought she was so beautiful. I call it grandma's hands because those hands are hardworking hands, and she is stunning. Another one of my students, Camila, graduated just this last year. This is her self-portrait, subjective color. And Lee Sanders, the father of a brand new, wonderful, with his wife Ashley, baby boy. I'm watching him grow up on Facebook. Lee loves purple, and therefore you see that he was involved with using that color. I think of the last year, 2020, there was not a more significant moment than this Justice for George and the movement that followed. We've got to get better at so many things in this country. In 1961, I was in high school, and the Freedom Riders, were things that I kind of knew something about. But I grew up in the South, in Portsmouth, Virginia, and so racial things were different in the South. One of the reasons I wanted to come up to Bethany to get farther north, actually. This poster hung in my office until recently. It actually was, the picture was taken the year I was born, so it's a very old poster. And this is Louie in Rome. You see the Colosseum in the background. Of course, he's playing his trumpet. And I really have forgotten, and I've tried to find out, so far unsuccessfully, maybe somebody watching this can let me know somehow, who's actually driving this thing while he's playing. I know she's a jazz singer. I know who she is because I know a lot of jazz singers by their voice and by their faces. This is a wonderful piece that my daughter Kendall, who studied in Kenya, brought me back as a souvenir. It's carved ebony, quite complex carving, and I think it's very beautiful. As is my daughter, that's for that matter. I've got 2 of those. Martin Luther King Jr. Poster with a wonderful message. that maybe you'll zoom in and read. A couple of other prints here. This one from one of my former students, Jennifer, and I think it's a sort of a celebration print. This is a linoleum cut print, which means that you take a piece of linoleum, and it could have been wood, but it's a relief print, and you carve out everything that's white was removed, and everything that's black is the surface of either the wood or linoleum that remains. Below this is another one of my images, old one now, 1992. Whew, time flies. And this is a collograph, which means that these were cut out things from cardboard and other things with texture. The raised surface is what's black. And this actually was all done with Elmer's glue dots and some lace cut and that sort of thing. The title is Guardian Angel. And there we have it. This is another piece of mine. It's a ready-made, actually. I found and bought this praying hands, the Dürer praying hands. It's a drawing that was turned into this sculpture, and turned it into a ready-made as a piece of art that was sort of created by Marcel Duchamp. The term, it was something that's already sort of created, and then you do something to it to change it or whatever. And so this is what I created with that. I especially thought it was poignant with what we need to do. It's get along. Next here, I doubt if for many people Frederick Douglass is a household word, a household name. But honestly, he's somebody, if you don't know much about him, please Google it or do even more research than that. Frederick Douglass is an inspiration for anybody that knows much about him. He was a slave. He escaped as a slave. He was very, very mistreated by his owner. Covey, I think, was the owner's name, and survived that. And ultimately, with somebody teaching him how to read, he not only learned how to read, he learned how to write, and he learned how to make profound statements, and he became the editor of a newspaper, and so many things. So look into, there's your homework, look into Frederick Douglass, especially during this month where we celebrate Black history. This poster has been in my yard multiple times. It's on the wall now. I think this is a very poignant piece also. Until the killing of black men, black mother's sons become as important to the rest of the country as the killing of a white mother's son, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until this happens. So true. This is Trayvon Martin, as you can maybe see if you recognize what his beautiful face looked like. In terms of black history, Nelson Mandela doesn't get much better than that. And his resilience and his success and doing great things for anti-apartheid and moving South Africa in a very much better place. I have some books here. This 30 Americans was given to me by my daughter Whitney. It has current contemporary black artist works, 30 of them in here. Extremely interesting stuff. And it's a great book. I highly recommend it. Of course, one of the sadnesses of last year was the death of Kobe Bryant and his daughter. And I thought that was worth reminding people of what a great humanitarian he was, not to mention athlete. This is from Ghana. My younger daughter studied it for a semester at the University of Ghana. It's a fertility symbol, as I recall. It ultimately worked. I have two wonderful grandchildren. That's the case. Here we have, a lot of people don't know that there was a black saint, St. Martin de Porres, and his symbol is kind of a dog, which of course I'm a dog guy, so that means a lot to me. This is a children's book, President from Hawaii. I highly recommend it if you have kids to read it to them or have them read it to you. The Eugene versus Debs thing, this is the same artist. I think you can see the style as the Trayvon Martin poster. This is a beautiful, beautiful interpretation of the wonderful face of Rosa Parks. It's, as best I can tell, and of course it's a poster, and it doesn't have a lot of information about it, but I'm pretty sure it's fabric. It's cut out quilted things collaged here. Black lives, of course, do matter a lot. This is one of my students who graduated in 19, Giancarlo Tejido, and this is his subjective self-portrait. And of course, King of Pop, Michael Jackson, favorite musician of mine. Actually, I saw the Jackson 5 in concert many years ago when I was a student at Bethany. My girlfriend and I, at the time, drove down from here to Newport News, Virginia, where he and the Jackson 5 were performing. And I've been to many concerts. It was one of the best. Moving right on to the last panel here. A couple of student paintings by Darien Brewster when he was a student here. I think they're powerful and they have great messages. This is his, and of course the Black Statue of Liberty is also one of his. And these two, Peace and No Justice, No Peace, I think this is especially powerful. This is an artist, Drucker. I'm not familiar with Drucker. And of course there's so many artists you can't be familiar with all of them. This is Streeter, and again, they're not known to me. I really, really, really love this poster. Rosa sat so Martin could walk, Martin walked so Barack could run, Barack ran so all our children could fly. How about that? And finally, this is another gift that my daughter Whitney brought me from Ghana, carving. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this brief tour in Renner Art Gallery of Black history and art matters. Hopefully very soon, if we all behave ourselves, we'll be able to be face-to-face interacting, talking about things as we stand in front of them. There's nothing, you can't look at a picture in a book and appreciate it. You can't look at a video and totally appreciate it. You can't see the complexity of it, the texture of it and all that. But for right now, we have to be really, really careful. So please, can we all just mask up, behave ourselves so that in the very near future, hopefully, we can be back together again, having wine with each other, clinking glasses, and maybe some cheese would be good. All right, cheers.